And today we're in our own neck of the woods here in Pasay, where Honeycomb is, and we're here to visit the SMX Convention Center. It's time for Alt Philippines. Let's go. I actually didn't go to last year's Alt Fair. I actually haven't been since the first Alt Fair, which was in 2020. So it'll be really interesting to see how the fair has grown and changed. But we're right here in Hall 4. Let's see what Alt has to offer. Now, Alt was formed by 9 founding galleries, and it is an art fair. It's what you expect. There are paintings, there are sculptures, there are all sorts of different artists and art types. And as soon as you come in through the door, on the right side, you get to Vinyl on Vinyl, which is a street art gallery. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about the artists here because they are very much of the kind of art that you guys know we like and we work in. So this is from Terrence. He had quite a display with these life-sized sculptures of his paintings. Very interesting renditions. Now, there were all sorts of different kinds of art. There's installation from all the different artists that Vinyl on Vinyl works with. So you will see some familiar names like Jellyfish Kisses. This is a memory bank. All installation work with many different kinds of media, photos and some sculpture, even some video. And they were also scattered throughout the venue. But once you go inside that general gallery area, you see all the different artists they work with. Raise Hell, and here you have some video installation alongside some other art pieces more traditionally hanging on the wall. So this was something that was really nice, is that you have these very intense art pieces that are hanging on the wall, but you also had toys and installation and sculpture that were alongside it and made the whole thing a more textured experience. Now here we see some of our favorite stuff from Reen Barrera, who showed some new paintings along with the collection of toys that he has coming out with Mind Style. And the cool thing about this particular set of paintings is that it seemed like a new movement from Reen Barrera. So if you're familiar with Reen's work, it's usually not this mature is probably a good way to describe it. There's a lot of playful, childlike themes in Reen's work, and this one is a lot more intense. Now, because this is a new movement, it's probably a good time to pick up work from Reen, especially if you weren't able to pick up some of his original works early on. This is almost like being able to get some early work again. Now, speaking of artists that have been well known to reinvent themselves several times, here we have Bito, who is very well known to be connected with Vinyl on Vinyl. He does a lot of commercial projects and murals with Vinyl on Vinyl, and here he had some toys, some sculpture, and some paintings on display. We go around the corner through the back, and here we have same thing, some sculpture and paintings from Blick. Now, for both Bito, Blick, even Reen in this particular show, it was interesting to see how they've developed over the years. And that's one of the cool things about having a relationship with a gallery like Vinyl on Vinyl, is that you get to see the progression of these artists over time, how they grow and how they change. And you can remember what the original stuff was like and get your heads around the new stuff. Now, speaking about getting your heads around them, some things you really do have to see in person don't translate so well in video. Here's a good example of an inclusion using some acrylic paint, I believe. And for something like this, you really have to move your head around it. Now, the soap is a series of cold cast marble sculptures. So they're actually sculptures that you can put in your house on porcelain soap dishes. And this is by Christina Kisumbing, I believe is how you pronounce it. Another gallery that I thought had a great display, great collection, was West Gallery. And up front, they had these big, massive works by Bjorn Calleja, an awesome street artist from our own city. And they had a very wide, varied group of work, both. They had carpet and sculpture, and here's some new paintings, 2024, from Jigger Cruz. So a lot of respectable, well-known artists on display, but also some stuff that you were just discovering. Side by side with the galleries, like right here next to West Gallery, were installations. And here's one by Pete Jimenez, where he took, I believe these are big cement sacks or cement bags, and he transformed them by laying them out and connecting them through wires and light that shine through them. And this is kind of his message, that light shining through would transform. And here's a different installation by Juan Alcazaren, where he takes everyday objects, much like the cement sack, and also transform them into this sculpture coming off the wall, this installation. So we're taking a break to sit down. We're about halfway through the fair. My thought so far is that it's what I was expecting, that this would be quite a thoughtful art fair. I've been to a lot of art fairs throughout my career, and this is definitely one of the most thoughtful. I would say Art Fair Philippines in 2024 is an improvement over previous years. This fair I didn't get to go to last year, but I definitely see the improvement versus the year before, or the fair before, which would have been 2020, right before the pandemic. But even then, it was really thoughtful when it was in SM Aura in Taguig. I think the gallery run art show, let's put it this way. So you know how the artist run space is like a way more thoughtful, more kind of like street legit version of a gallery. They're not as good at business as the galleries are, but in terms of the material and who they're able to work with, it usually is a lot more legit and a lot more connected to society. I think the gallery run art show is like that, where it is maybe not as great business. I don't know. But it feels that way. It doesn't feel as commercial as other art fairs. But it does seem like it's more connected. Not as connected as an artist-run space, but more connected to society. Now, I do want to thank Gallery DOA Mila for inviting us to join them here at the early opening for the show. Gallery DOA Mila is also from our area here in Pasay. I believe they're on Harrison Street, and they're one of the most respected, long-standing galleries in the metro. They had a lot of varied works, a very eclectic collection. You had some Bencab, you had minimalist, you had some street art. Sometimes you can go to an art show and there's a lot of like scattershot, random stuff just on display. And I'm sure that those artworks all have an audience, right? But it's not uncommon to go to an art fair and maybe find works that you really don't know who it's for. And that's what I mean when I say that the show is thoughtful, is that even if art is not specifically for maybe your persuasion, maybe you're into street art, paintings and sculptures and toys, there's stuff here that's not from that style that you'll still be able to connect with. It'll still be relevant to you. I got to chat with Gabby de la Merced of Vinyl on Vinyl Gallery, and she told me a little bit about the history of Alt Fair. And even though it says over there that it's the third one, this is actually only the second show. That one that we went to in 2020, that was the first time and the last time they've really done a big show like this. And to see the jump from then to now, what a big jump there's been in terms of layout and flow and, you know, installation and what the galleries brought. I'm really impressed. Ticket prices here are in the 200 to 300 peso range, which is great. I think it's 250 or 280, something like that. If you're a student, it's even less. I think that all things considered, if you are looking at last week's show and this week's show together, you're really only looking at about 1,000 pesos for both shows. And that's a really good deal. That's a really good way to spend your 1,000 pesos this week. The amount of installation and art that you get to see between, you know, last week's show, which is kind of a lots of all sorts of different things all mixed together, and this show, which also has a lot of that eclectic collection of work, it's a great way to spend 1,000 pesos, $20, less than $20 now with the exchange rate. I think it's a must attend. Definitely a must attend. So as much as we like last week's show, the Art Fair Philippines, this is definitely a great show. And all things considered, between the two shows, if you're spending 1,000 pesos this week to see and experience this amount of art, can't complain. Now, we saw an art fair organized by art fair organizers, and here we see a art fair organized by galleries. I wonder if we're gonna get that last step, which would be art fairs really organized by artists. It's something to think about. All right, thank you so much for coming with me and enjoying this fair. Hopefully, if you have time, you can attend it, whether it be this year or next year. I wish you guys good luck, good health, some great art. Peace. Now, before I go, there was something I really didn't know how to show in a vlog, so I'm just gonna put it here. This is Somatason, and they performed live here at Alt Fair, so we're gonna close out with some clips of their performance. Enjoy.